Hi, my name is Tom and this is my channel Integral Views. Just when you think the Green Party can't get any crazier, something comes across your feed that just drills ever deeper into the insanity and nonsense that is so typical of the Green Party in the UK. So, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Hannah Spencer, the Green Party candidate for Gorton and Denton. So, let's review some of Hannah's comments with regard to illegal migration and Islamic terrorism in the UK, shall we? Now, these are, of course, extremely serious and I would argue existential issues for the United Kingdom. So we really have to take any comments from political candidates very seriously. Please also note that in order to create a coherent overview of the situation, I'm going to have to cover some pretty horrific events in some detail. So, just so you know, that's what's going to come up. Some quick and important background. So, there is currently a by-election taking place in Gorton and Denton to elect the next MP. And so Hannah's comments that we're going to review are made in the context of this election, effectively, right? And Gorton and Denton is part of Greater Manchester. So keep this in mind. This is incredibly important context. In 2017, there was an Islamic terrorist attack, a horrific Islamic terrorist attack in Manchester, the Manchester Arena, an Ariana Grande concert, killing 22 people. It was by Salman Abedi, who blew himself up using a nail bomb in which, as I said, he killed 22 other people. A horrific, terrible attack. It also injured 1,000 people. And here are the 22 victims that died as a result of that Islamic terrorist attack in the Manchester Arena, an Ariana Grande concert using a nail bomb. Look at these individuals, 22 people. This is just horrific. And so keep this in mind as we go through this, because the thing is that we can look at Hannah's comments and we can laugh maybe, right? Or basically just say how ridiculous. But this is absolutely serious, very, very serious. And this is occurring within this context. Now, Salman Abedi, who blew himself up in that terrorist attack that we've just reviewed, he was the son of a Libyan refugee who came to the United Kingdom. So Salman's father was a Libyan refugee who came to the United Kingdom, was given refugee status. We granted him basically protection, right, from Libya, where he was previously involved in political battles with Islamic groups, extremist Islamic groups, battling against the Gaddafi regime. And we stupidly and naively in the United Kingdom gave him and his family refugee status in the United Kingdom. Right, so that's some context. Now let's hear from the Green Party candidate for Gorton and Denton in Greater Manchester, Hannah Spencer. Now, this first clip is Hannah Spencer and Matt Goodwin. And Matt Goodwin is the Reform UK candidate who's been very outspoken against illegal migration and the harms of a lack of integration. So that's even further context.
Never asked why these things are happening.
What we did after the terror attacks was we came together and we stuck up for each other.
But you've never asked why are those things happening?
Of course we have.
Why are they happening?
Of course we have, because people like you are dividing people.
So I'm responsible for the Manchester Evening News Arena bombing now?
That's not what I've just said.
Because we have very real issues with integration, and I've even had lots of minority Brits in this seat say exactly the same thing to me.
Okay, so Hannah Spencer just basically said that because people like Matt Goodwin, those people who are speaking out right about the issues that exist, are causing division, and that's what's causing these Islamic terrorist attacks. Well, let's see if we can fact check that, as if we have to. But in any case, let's have a look at this. So this is the Manchester Arena Inquiry. Manchester Arena Inquiry Volume 3, Radicalisation and Preventability from May 2017. So SA and HA, those are the initials of the two sons of the Libyan refugee. So SA is the person who blew himself up in that Islamic terrorist attack. It says, travelled with their family to Libya in 2011. It is likely they had some involvement in fighting during the civil war at that time. This may well have been with the February 17 Martyrs Brigade. They were at an impressionable age, 16 and 14 respectively, so this would have been a formative experience. So of course, this report is talking about how they became radicalized Islamic terrorists. That's what caused it. Islamic radicalization, not Matt Goodwin pointing out that radicalization. Okay, right, now we'll just go and read through one last part of this report just to make the point absolutely clear. The conclusions. Just one part of the conclusion. First, in relation to the radicalization of SA and HA, I have concluded that their family played a part in the development of their extremist mindset. SA and HA were exposed by their parents to the civil war in Libya at an impressionable age. There were a number of violent extremist groups who were active in Libya at the time. SA and HA's parents, particularly their father, held extremist views. The family circle in Libya included people who at some point were involved in terrorism. Yes, so it's not just people in the UK speaking out and it causing division, and then these people go and commit these attacks, these atrocities. No, they were already doing this in Libya, and we were stupid enough to bring them into our country. We were naive enough, people like Hannah, naive enough to bring them into the country, and we're doing it to this day. We're doing it now. Right, so that's quite clear. It was Islamic extremism caused by Islamic ideology that caused that attack in Manchester and killed those 22 innocent people. That's what caused it, not Matt Goodwin. So we bring into the country in 1994, being such bleeding heart liberal, such lovely people, wanting to help other people. We bring in Salman Abedi, who was basically fleeing conflict in Libya because he was part of extremist Islamic groups, yeah? So then he comes into the country in the United Kingdom. This is him. This is the father of the son who committed that terrorist attack, Salman Abedi. And effectively, we bring him in, right? And then he has two sons. One of his sons goes and blows up, right, a nail bomb within Manchester Arena at an Ariana Grande concert. Thank you so much. That's the thanks we get, yeah? I have no doubt there was social housing, there were benefits involved, there was huge support. So come in, yes, poor asylum seekers, poor refugees, come in, and that's what we get. That's not all we get, though. That's one son, right? But then there's another son, Salman Abedi. Salman Abedi was involved in the bomb plot. He basically got some materials, and he was involved, and he was sentenced to, I think it was 55 years in prison, right? Minimum term. But whilst in prison, what does he do? He attacks prison guards while shouting Allahu Akbar. And remember, Hashem as well, granted refugee status, brought out of that dangerous situation that he was probably involved in creating in Libya, right? Or what his father was. Okay, but we're so stupid, we bring him in, yeah? So he gets put in prison for being part of this bomb plot with his brother Salman. And then Hashem, what does he do? He's in prison, 55-year prison sentence. And then he basically, for some reason, is given access to a cooking station and cooking utensils and whatever. He makes knives out of baking trays, and then he heats up butter, right, and sugar sachets, and then he throws that on a female prison officer and two other prison officers, causing third-degree burns. He stabs one man in one of the prison officers in an artery and another many times in the back while shouting Allah Akbar. So this is the thanks we get now. Now again, why are we so naive and stupid that we will give these people access to cooking facilities? Do you know what I think they should be given instead of that? I think they should be given the death penalty. I think that we should reinstate the death penalty and just be done with them. Why would we tolerate this? Madness. So remember, Hannah said that the community all came together and sang songs and basically united all together. Well, what actually happened was, yeah, there were these events, but it was basically a psyop. As far as I'm concerned, I think there's a lot of evidence to suggest that this is part of disaster recovery and kind of preventative planning measures for things like this that occur, that is rolled out by police forces, etc. Yeah. So there was this anthem that became the words that people sung. Don't look back in anger. Don't look back in anger. Yeah. So why would you be angry? Yeah. That all of these little girls were blown up using a nail bomb. Why would you be angry? Don't be angry that, we bring these people into the country and then they commit these horrific offences, and that there's probably many networks of these individuals right through our country because we're so stupid to bring them in. But don't be angry. Don't look back in anger at any of that, okay? And I thought a really nice summarization of this, or summary of this, Laura Dodsworth. I don't know who Laura is, to be honest. I just saw it on X and I thought it was interesting. She said, Hannah Spencer seems to think that the familiar coming together rituals after terror attacks are entirely organic. In reality, the bunches of flowers and solidity and graffiti at the terrorist sites, multi-faith vigils and don't look back in anger messaging is actually pre-planned by disaster planners and PR pros. It's highly sophisticated exercise in controlled spontaneity. What that means, right, is basically they're trying to stop reactions from occurring. They're trying to stop civil unrest from unfolding when these attacks occur by just flooding everything with all of these love hearts and flowers and vigils and all of this stuff. So they do that on purpose. Now, so Laura goes on in her tweet, her post, which I thought was really good. Stage displays of positive emotion and resilience are intended to facilitate recovery and to prevent civil unrest, but they do so by pulling the wool over your eyes and pulling at your heartstrings. In essence, you are being manipulated. As one psychologist involved in advising the government told me in an interview, a state of fear, you could call psychology mind control. That's what we do. Clearly, we try to go about it in a positive way, but it has been used nefariously in the past. Psychology has been used for wicked ends. I mean, basically, Hannah buys this hook, line and sinker. Do you know why? Because in my opinion, she's basically psychologically a child. That's what I think. I think that she refuses to face the harsh reality that exists, the harsh truths of reality that exist. And I think that is extremely dangerous for our political system. We don't want people like that who have such naive, childish opinions and views of reality that basically blame anyone near our politics, that blame people like Matt Goodwin who come in and say it just because they say it, right? Because they're willing and confident enough, right, with enough integrity to actually speak up, which is difficult to do. That's the really difficult thing to do. It's easy to just live in a fantasy Narnia world, right, and do whatever la stuff, That's very easy to do. But, it's much more difficult to, with courage, face up to the reality, the harsh truths of reality, which is what Matt was doing, okay? And so he gets the blame from Hannah because, saying nasty things, mean, that's nasty, that disrupts my nice Narnia land that I've got in my head filled with cotton wool. So, I don't really think very highly of Hannah, to be completely honest. The truth is, it's Islam. That's the truth, okay? It's Islam and Islamic terrorism. Islamic terrorism that stems from Islamic ideology. And the truth is that we have a lot of Islamic networks throughout the United Kingdom, throughout Britain, that are interconnected and building these pockets of extremism. And of course, we're basically constantly monitoring that or having to, our security forces. And additionally, we have these events that break out, on a recurring basis. That's the truth. But, the Green Party that Hannah represents is very popular with Muslims, very popular with Islam. Because, effectively, it's a soft spot, They're basically, in my opinion, they're basically they can push through their very illiberal beliefs, their very illiberal ideology through that soft spot of this kind of naive, childish Green Party nonsense and stupidity. So, the thing is, I don't hate Hannah at all. I'm sure she's a very lovely person. I'm sure that she will be, fine to hang out with, doing things that were inconsequential, not involved in politics or any kind of leadership, nothing consequential. So, I don't know, maybe baking some cookies or doing some artwork or something like that. All right, so baking some cookies. All right, fine. But, you know, I mean, this sounds condescending, but I'm sorry, but thing is, in reality, like this delusional mindset, this childish mindset, this immaturity needs to stay away from politics, away from leadership, because it's going to cause a lot of harm. These things are real, yeah, and it's serious. And you can't just wish yourself into a positive world, you know, it's wishful thinking. You can't just hypnotize yourself into this fantasy Narnia world, yeah, because the real world does have some harsh truths about it. And so you have to face up to it and deal with it head on. Otherwise, you end up with, a much worse situation. Well, why is this such a big problem though, yeah? Well, it's because the Green Party have some really ridiculous policies. So they want to get rid of our nuclear deterrent. They want to just get rid of all of our nuclear weapons because nuclear weapons bad and mean and nasty, boo-boo. Yeah, so get rid of all the nuclear weapons. And then Zach Polanski, the leader of the Green Party, said, I'll just ask Putin nicely if he'll disarm. Yeah, because Putin's going to just, Zach Polanski's such a nice guy. Oh, he's hypnotized me because he's such a nice guy. By the way, Zach Polanski used to be a hypnotist, and I won't go into that. But anyway, so yeah, as if Putin's going to go, because he just said it in such a nice way, and so I'm just going to get rid of my naughty, nasty nukes, yeah, because no one asked me in that way before. I mean, it's insane. It's childish. It's immature and childish, yeah. So grow up, Zach. They want to end the UK by dividing England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. So basically the United Kingdom, Britain, no more, don't want that anymore. They want to get rid of nukes. They want open borders, effectively. So they want people to come into the country, as many as need or want to claim asylum in the United Kingdom. Everyone, like all of the billions of people with worse living standards than in Britain, they can all just come, and we'll just put them to work. That's what they really believe. Like they want to issue visas on arrival. So anyone comes in, you get a visa as soon as you come, and you can work straight away because that's what they really want, yeah. Okay, so yes, real stupidity. And there's many other things that they want to do, and I've gone through it in a video. You can go look at it here. And I went through some data and another one on Zach and his madness that I went through here. So, but look, I could go on. Just incredibly childish, naive and stupid policies. It's shocking that they're growing in popularity. And look, really, like this naivety, this ideological, philosophical and just psychological naivety, as far as I'm concerned, represents an existential risk to Britain, in my opinion. I don't know how we've got here. I mean, I have some ideas, right? But ultimately, now we're at this point where we've got a worryingly large number of people who are really pretty delusional about how the world works, how reality actually functions and human psychology and all of that stuff. All right, now let's finish with one more video from Hannah. The last one was such a treat. I'm really looking forward to this next one. So this is about illegal migration. I can't wait to hear Hannah's thoughts on that. Now, bear in mind, I'm someone who's done multiple videos. I've done a whole playlist on illegal migration. I've spent thousands of hours literally researching and pulling things together, piecing together government data, understanding historical context and the legal frameworks. I've taken it very seriously, made a whole video series on it. And then also I have an illegal migrant hotel 200 meters away from my door. And so all summer last year, I basically witnessed these illegal migrants in the park, and I witnessed their behavior, the littering, the shoplifting, their general behavior overall for a long time. They live around me, so I know. And so basically, I think that I'm in a pretty good position to be able to comment on illegal migration in Britain. So anyway, can't wait. Let's hear what Hannah. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of wisdom that comes out of Hannah's mouth. So let's hear her.
She says kind of at housing, and she's saying that's because they're going to asylum seekers, refugees, and illegal immigrants, migrants. That's how she framed it. How do you speak to people like that, who are ending often very difficult lives?
So this is Owen Jones. He is like a far left commentator. And what he's just said is that, when people say, citizens in the United Kingdom say that they've got hard lives and they feel it's unfair that illegal migrants are given social housing, basically the way he framed it was like, that's not really happening. But if that's the direction they want to take it in, then how would you respond? He's asking Hannah, yeah? Well, I just want to be clear. That absolutely is happening. I've looked into it. And when asylum seekers are, if they're granted asylum, then they're put at high risk of homelessness. And then basically we have a responsibility to put them to the top of their social housing ladder. And so the government is currently building all this social housing to get illegal migrants who have no right to be in this country, right, out of the hotels we're already paying for them and into social housing above British citizens. And that is true. So the way he's framed it is a bit disingenuous. Let's hear how I just can't wait.
Life really hard, but they decided to take the anger in that knowledge.
I think that anger is in many ways quite justified, because it's a very unfair system that we've got at the moment where...
Yes, it is unfair. I agree, Hannah. Oh, I knew this was going to be a good one. She's come to her senses. Cool. Okay, Hannah, thanks. It is a really unfair system and it's ridiculous. Okay, I'm so glad we agree, Hannah. Carry on.
People can't make ends meet, they can't put food on the table, can't buy the kids' school uniforms.
No, they can't,
and yet us taxpayers are spending, I think it's 6 million quid a day
it's crazy.
On hotels for people who fled here for really genuine and legitimate reasons.
Wait, genuine and legitimate reasons? That's a bit of a stretch, isn't it? Given that they're often economic migrants who are just basically getting whatever they can, as far as I'm concerned. And look, I mean, of course they're going to do that. Of course they're going to do it. And don't get me wrong, they do have very difficult conditions in a lot of these countries, yeah? Their lives are very hard. The countries are very hard. The cultures are not as well developed. Yeah? The infrastructure, none of that. None of even the language and philosophy, all of that kind of stuff. It's not, so, it's true. They've got hard lives, yeah? So what's the answer to that? We just bring all of them here and just let as many as want to come here just come here. Okay, Hannah. Okay, let's see what else she's got to say.
Who want to work. Like, I know in my role as a local councillor, like, I've met so many people who've fled things that I can't even begin to imagine.
Oh God. Okay. Yeah, you can't imagine it. I mean, basically, as far as I'm concerned, it seems like a lot of these people have just been wrapped up in cotton wool their whole life, just all the way through childhood, and then just thrown out into the world, like in a safe space from the moment they're born, and then out into the world. Oh, now you're a political candidate and you're on a microphone. So, yeah, they've had very different lives to you. That's for sure. I think a lot of people have. Anyway, yeah. And she said they want to work. Now, here's the thing. Jobs are going to become increasingly scarce because effectively what's happening is we have AI coming in and automating a lot of stuff. And
they're just like rattling around in a hotel.
Oh, I'm sorry. They're not just rattling around in the hotel. They're out in the parks like these men, right, who are illegal migrants who are in a hotel close to my house, who sit out on a public park and film young teenage girls and then stalk young teenage girls and stand up and follow them. But yeah, that I've witnessed, yeah. This is they're not just rattling around in the hotel. They're also shoplifting and littering. So yeah, no, wrong, Hannah.
Want to be part of the community. Often they are part of the community, like where, I've worked with them. They planted 500 bulbs in one of our local parks because they're just itching.
They planted 500 bulbs. This is mental. This is properly, you believe this, is this really your belief? No, she's had a couple of conversations with maybe a couple of these people, yeah, and they've said, oh, we want to work. She's like, oh, they all want to work. And then they've gone and done some gardening together and planted some bulbs. And they're like, I mean, it's funny, but also not funny because, this is dangerous that we've got people like this with this naive mindset, this childish mindset that could become MPs. What are we doing, honestly?
To get out and do stuff, but they're itching to work, and we know that we need people to work.
We really don't, actually,
it's that perceived unfairness, I think, where people do think
people
are being given something for nothing.
They are being given something for nothing.
It's a result of poor government failures. It was the Tory government that signed us up to these.
Poor government failures, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's all their fault. Well, it is actually. It's their fault because they're implemented these human rights laws and the stupid naivety that people like Hannah have that allowed that. And they want to take it even further, by the way.
schemes. Like, they signed us up to these contracts with Serco and Britannia to give these companies that pay their shareholders millions of pounds of our taxpayers' money. And I think when you have that conversation with people and you acknowledge, like, that is a really unfair system, like, we would overhaul that completely in a way that's fairer for everybody, but fairer for the people who are coming here seeking asylum. Like, I think we have a much better system that's fairer for everybody. And so, yeah, I think acknowledging why people are upset because there's so much injustice in society is the way that people understand, like, we are after the same things here.
No, we're really not. No, Hannah, we're really not. Hannah, we're really not after the same things. So basically what I'm after is for all illegal migrants who came into the country to be deported, detained indefinitely and then deported. And I'm after law and order being re-established and this nonsense, naive worldview that's really causing massive problems ending. So I don't think we're after the same thing, Hannah, whatsoever. All right, look, so that was difficult. Going through it, I go through a lot of this stuff. Okay, so I go through a lot of this stuff to try to understand that. I try to understand where they're coming from, and basically, like, the way it comes across to me is this is just pure naivety. It really is like children. That's what it feels like. They're not looking at reality. Notice the Green Party never really uses data. They never look at historical context. They just have feelings. They just have a certain feeling that feels nice. They want to be nice to people, be nice to everybody, and then everything will be okay. It's like children. And so, we basically, look, okay, I could go on and on, but I think that's enough for today. So thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, please like it. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already and you want to hear more from me. And I've got a buy me a coffee link in the description of this video if you'd like to support my work. I'd appreciate it. Okay, until next time, cheers.